I'd like to call the meeting to order, please, at 7 o'clock. Get a roll call, please.
Mr. Belfiore.
Here.
Mr. Biondo.
Here.
Mr. DiGiulio. Mr. Ludston.
Here.
Mrs. Paletti. Here. Mr. Radisavich.
Here. Like to take number 5 and move it to number 3. Is everyone okay with that?
Yep.
What number?
5.
Is everyone all right with that, Tim?
Yes. Yes.
Great, thank you. I'd like to call up Frank. Do you have a copy? There you go, Frank. Why not just
Right
you
there.
stand right there.
Right
You
here.
turn around to the camera if you want.
Center of attention.
just whenever you're ready, raise your right hand and read that.
I, Frank Stoffel, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Norridge School District 80 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can only be made by a majority vote at a public board meeting. And I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
Great, thank you. Congratulations.
I got it.
No, not yet. After tomorrow. Great, we'll go right. I'm sorry. Oh, that's fine. Perfect. Thank you. Let me get a roll call, please.
Mr. Belfiore.
Here.
Mr. Biondo.
Yes.
Mr. DiGiulio. Mr. Ludston.
Here.
Mrs. Paletti. Yes. Mr. Radisavich.
Yes.
Mr. Stoffel.
Here. A quorum has been established. We're going to go to public hearing tax levy. Illinois law requires a public hearing to be held prior to the adoption of a certificate of tax levy in a taxing body that requires 105% or more from the prior year. Within that time frame established by the Board of Education, guests wishing to address the board regarding the proposed 2017 tax levy will be given the opportunity to do so at that time. Dr. Schilling, are we having a presentation, right?
The only comment that I would make is that that the most likely scenario is the tax cap is at 2.1%, and there'll be a little bit of new growth, so that is the most likely scenario. However, the legislature did pass half of it passed a tax freeze, and it could be reconsidered in January and be implemented for next year. So that it would be 0.
Great. Any questions?
The only difference is between this one and the last was that there was an error on a date, correct?
Yeah, there was an error in the day. We contacted our attorneys and we posted correctly. And you can look on our webpage. It's on the webpage. It's really a receipt from the Chicago Tribune.
We'll open it up to the public for any questions or comments about the tax levy. Let the record show there's no questions. I'd like to adjourn the tax levy hearing.
Make the motion.
No second.
All in favor say aye, opposed say nay.
Aye.
Great. We'll go right into action items. Discussion motion to approve the 2017 tax levy resolution.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Paletti. Yes. Mr. Biondo.
Yes.
Mr. Belfiore.
Yes.
Mr. Ludston.
Yes.
Mr. Stoffel.
Yes.
Mr. Radisavich.
Yes. A motion to approve the 2017 tax levy resolution. Discussion. Motion to approve the resolution to levy 2017 taxes for certain purposes.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Belfiore.
Yes.
Mr. Ludston?
Yes.
Mr. Adisarvin?
Yes.
Mr. Biondo?
Yes.
Mr. Stoffel?
Yes.
Mrs. Paletti?
Yes.
Motion to approve the resolution to levy 2017 tax for certain purposes. Discussion. Motion to approve the resolution to instruct Cook County how to appropriate the 2017 tax levy extension reduction.
I'll motion. I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ludston?
Yes.
Mr. Biondo?
Yes.
Mr. Adisarvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Paletti?
Yes.
Mr. Stoffel?
Yes.
Mr. Belfiore?
Yes.
Motion to approve the resolution to instruct Cook County how to appropriate the 2000 tax levy extension reduction. Discussion. Motion to approve the certification of completion with the truth in lending taxation law.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Belfiore?
Yes.
Mr. Biondo?
Yes.
Mr. Stoffel?
Yes.
Mr. Ludston?
Yes.
Mr. Adisarvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Paletti?
Yes.
Motion to approve the certification of compliance with the truth in lending taxation law. May we please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Stoffel, could you please read our mission statement?
The mission of Norridge School District 80 is inspiring educational excellence in a nurturing environment.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize our visitors for coming out in such big numbers today. We have several pieces of correspondence. We had a couple of FOIA requests, and we'll go right into our presentation. I'll hand over to Dr. Malley, which I think we'll hand over to
Dr. Schilling, a few minutes.
Okay. So at the last meeting, we talked about the deficit reduction plan. We brought you up to date on, the status of the budget and the fact that we're not seeing any really new revenue per se, even though they redid a new state aid model. So basically, we've hit our targets up until now, and we presented you with a couple different scenarios. You kind of tasked us to go back and look at those scenarios and narrow it to some key decisions for you to make. And so what I would like to do, there's only 4 slides. 3 of them, it's just a step 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Because I think the simpler it is, the better for everybody, because then it's very transparent and we all know what the decisions are that need to be made. So the assumptions and the impact per se, this is at a very high level. That is that we went back and looked at the district administration did, and art, music, and PE to continue offering it. Remember, one of the scenarios was basically if there wasn't music, then there was a different cost factor for band, okay? But the assumption is that art, music, and PE will continue to be offered. The middle school schedule will change. That was, and it can be done. And if there's further information that's needed, I will defer to the administration.
So we can follow slide.
Okay, you're welcome. Class sizes for 18-19, that was a question that you brought up. Generally are projected to be between 21 and 24 for grades K through 4 and 25 to 29 through 5 through 8. That is assuming there's a schedule change. Band, full day kindergarten, and athletics and clubs would be cost neutral to the district, which means either you choose to eliminate those programs, or B, you charge fees to cover whatever type of program that you're offering. So that way they would be cost neutral. So those are the assumptions and the impact of doing this stuff as far as just the class size piece. So the 3 major decisions that need to be made in this are really with respect to those programs below. So the first important decision to make is band. So we're assuming that you do not, because it's a signature program, that you do not want to eliminate band. So there were a couple, the board made a suggestion last time, which was a supposal of if you did it outside the school day And there was also one of the scenarios basically had it as full cost. So there are two options that you could consider for band if you want to continue to offer it. A lot of schools offer it as a 0 period, or which before school, for the general practice, and parents obviously then have to do their own lessons and so forth. And you build your program a lot of that. A lot of junior highs and middle schools do that just because they don't have room in the schedule for it. The $800 quoted, if you'll remember, was to run the whole program like it is now, assuming there was about 150 or so people signed up, so that you could generate enough money to pay for the entire salary, and you could pay for benefits, etc. We did not do at the time, there's not been any decision about what it would cost if you did it as a outside the school day program, because really you need to go back and talk to your band director or about how that program would be offered. But common sense to me, just my experience as a business manager and programs that I know, that fee wouldn't be more than $100 or $200 per student, because all you would be doing is basically covering a stipend or two to have people, do that outside the school day. There wouldn't be any salary. During the day, there would be no band offered. So it's just simply a stipend, depending on how you want to offer it.
So if we offered a 0 period, which means before school, what do you think that the cost would be, and then how many students would we need to have in that program to offset that cost? So
that's a guess at this point, but I'm guessing probably 100. Less
100
okay.
kids or $100?
Kids.
100 kids.
So just to reiterate that. So let's say Monday through Friday before school, 1 hour. I'm just
I can't quote the numbers I just gave you,
right,
because most people don't have it every day.
So, but I mean, if it's 100 kids, it might be hard to manage them all at once. So I would assume that he would break
Right.
it down. And so if it's in the contract for the stipend, hypothetically, it's I want to say it's $48 or $50 an hour. $50, just use $50 an hour times 175 school days. So that would be the cost. Is basically $17,500 would be the cost, and then you would divide that by the students that are participating to keep it as 0.
That's roughly what it would be.
Roughly, I'm just throwing math. Dr. Melly will yell at me for doing math out loud.
Don't do math in the public.
Okay.
Well, and there are several options too, because there's the other option of if it's too much for one person to, seek some help in the morning. I don't recommend doing it after school, because you can't. After school will interfere with a lot of parents picking up kids, and it interferes too if you do have any sports, or if they have any park district programs to do. Now those kids can't participate in that, so you're almost stuck. All my kids took band; they all took it in the morning at the middle school. That was the only way they could get the jazz band in and everything. So obviously, it's not the greatest thing to get up that early, but it is what it is. So that's one decision that the board needs to make. If you choose that you want to run it as a outside the school day program, then what we would propose is that we will go back and we will actually look at how multiple districts are doing it. We would ask the people that would be involved how they would like to run it, and we would come up with what the fee would be and what the minimum number of students, etc. And that's not something that you would have to obviously decide tomorrow, because as long as you're saying that's how you're going to do it, that scenario doesn't change. It's just another piece.
And what happens if we decided to go the route of the $800 to keep it the way it is, and 3/4 of the band students parents say, I can't afford that, or my kid doesn't want to do it anymore? What happens next year when the band program only has 40 kids, each paying $800, which isn't enough to pay for the salary and benefits
You
of
don't
that?
run it. So in other words, you would probably reduce your staff by one more person. And so if up until the time that you have to have a decision point. Let's say drop dead date that you have to have enough people sign up, and if they're not signed up, then the band person would end up going in music, and that's it. Okay, so you keep that music spot open until you have that number.